hello.
Oh, hello.
And welcome to the Comma Queens podcast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Annie. And welcome to our first episode of the Buddy Read for 2026.
So excited. We're wearing matching pajamas. We are truly in the Buddy Read spirit.
I think we're always in the Buddy Read spirit, but honestly, I'm really excited about this one. Not that I wasn't excited about our thrillers before, but we're doing something a little different this year. So for anyone who has not heard our previous episodes, our Buddy Read for this year is the danmei version of Heaven Official's Blessing. And we're doing this because we bought it blindly.
Yeah. Now, before we get in to today's topic of Heaven Official's Blessing Volume 1, I do have a quick aside. Just a PSA that when we were doing our end of year tags, as we did, it turns out that my number one tag is guy with great personality.
Yeah. And you know whose it wasn't?
Yours.
Mine. To be fair, red flag wasn't on mine either.
Yeah.
So I was reading like guy in the middle.
Guy in the middle.
But I will say, if we're talking guys with great personalities, I think that this one fits the bill.
Both of them. Perfect.
Yeah. Both of the male leads, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
So today we are hopping right into Volume 1 of Heaven Official's Blessing. And it starts out strong with the prologue.
It does.
So this story explains the story of Shelian. He is Your Highness the Crown Prince of the kingdom formerly known as Xianla. And he is a complicated character. He's known as, now, the laughingstock of the three realms.
Yes, he is.
And he has a couple other pretty not great nicknames throughout the story. Poor guy. But he has a pretty positive attitude about it. The reason, though, he's known as this laughingstock is because he has ascended and been banished from the heavenly realm more than once.
Yes. Yes, he has. And it all started when he was 17. So he's been at it for a while.
Yeah,
He
800 years.
800 years. He was beloved at first. He was the beloved crown prince of this great kingdom. And he just wanted to help the common man. Very noble of him. You know, just wanted to be there for everyone. The first reason that he got ascended into the heavens was for saving a boy who was falling. And it was during a great sword dance that he was supposed to be doing. And the longer you do it, the more good luck you have.
Yeah.
And this caused him to end it early. So there was a lot of debate going back and forth on whether or not this was good fortune or bad fortune because he ended it early, but also, like, he saved a boy's life. So isn't that great?
Yeah.
And it works out for him for a little bit.
Yeah. He's there for a while until he finds out that his kingdom of Xianla is under attack. And he asks the Emperor of Heaven, Juno, he goes, "Can I go and help them?" He is told, no, you're not allowed to meddle in mortal affairs.
But he loves the common man.
And he goes anyway. And you know what? I back him up on this a little bit.
Yeah.
I know that no one else does, but I back him up on this.
I love him so much. He is just like such a cute little airhead.
Yeah, that is honestly true. So he goes down. He assumes that having a heavenly being on the side of the mortals is going to benefit them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. It brings a lot of bad luck, and his kingdom ends up falling. And he's also banished because he didn't listen.
Yeah.
So not great. So in his second life, he is again just a great person. And he ascends a second time because there is a restless ghost that keeps killing people in this town and haunts this bridge. And he not only confronts the ghost, but also plants a flowering tree and helps the spirit to move on.
Yeah.
So again, saving the common people and also just having a good heart and helping these people out.
Unfortunately for him, he also holds a good grudge because he immediately goes to the heavens to confront every single person in the heaven officials and gets sent down in about 30 minutes.
Yeah. It doesn't last that long. And here's the thing. it's not normal to be banished in the first place.
Yeah.
So he's now been banished twice.
Yeah.
And at this point, they're like, what even was that?
This is when he becomes the laughingstock.
Yeah. But he just kind of goes on living another wonderful life, living off of scraps. He's like busking in the streets and playing music for people. And just from being a genuinely good-hearted person, our prologue ends with him ascending a third time.
Yes. Yes, it does. And he still has a great attitude. He's going up. He is just trying to figure out where to get started. He's talking to who I would call his friend, Ling Wen, and she's kind of filling him in on everything that's happened. I do love they make multiple references to like him being outdated and not knowing what's going on anymore, and kind of just being the boomer screaming out into the void and not getting it. And I love that.
Yeah.
But he also owes a lot of merits to his former disciple.
One of them was his bodyguard.
I love this part.
And one of them was his servant.
Yeah.
And they've both ascended and continued to stay ascended.
And they distance themselves from him once he's been kicked out multiple times.
Yeah.
And they hate each other.
Yeah.
Too.
To be fair, he did break the welcoming bell by almost dropping it on one of them.
That's very true.
And then he also felled one of the other's temples. So,
which is why he owes all the merits.
Yeah. And it's awkward. He's like, I don't know how to repay that. I have none of these merits.
The way that you get merits is by having followers and having temples where your followers give you offerings. And if you'll recall, he toppled a kingdom. And he no longer has any followers or temples. They were all burned or ransacked and just completely destroyed. All of his likenesses are gone. And so he's not having an easy time to find these merits. Ling Wen fortunately has a solution for him, though. She's like, you need to go to the north and help out the northern area. There's a problem there that brides are going missing. Mm-hmm. So, like, go solve it, Scooby-Doo.
That was her exact words. He does, like, very willingly go to do this, but he's asking in the communication array. It's almost like instant messaging for the heavenly officials.
I love it. I love that every time he talks, it just goes silent.
Yeah, it's crickets. It is very awkward, but he does very willingly go down to the mortal realm as he's commanded. This time he's allowed to.
Yeah.
And he is assigned this case, and he had asked for support with people to come and help him, and everyone's pretty reluctant. So Ling Wen's like, oh, I'll ask, and then everyone's like, oh, I'm busy that day. So he goes by himself. He does have 2 of the junior officials from the middle realm come and help him. Mm-hmm. And it's very ambiguous as to whether or not this was their choice or not. My feeling is they did not go willingly. This is like Ling Wen saying you need to go and support him.
The only thing, though, is that, like, Ling Wen is not their person that they're following.
Yeah, Ling Wen is not their martial god.
Yeah.
But she is kind of like the scheduler of everybody.
Yeah.
So I do think as just an upper realm heavenly official, she does have a little bit of leeway with them. Like, if you're wanting to ascend, you're kind of in that middle ground right now, and you only ascend when you do really good things. So I do think that there was definitely a little bit of a nudge there. So he does have 2 of the junior officials, Fu Yao and Nanfeng.
Yes.
And they not only seem reluctant to be helping Xielian, because this is, not something they really want to be doing, it seems, but also they hate each other. They're from rivaling martial god temples. And so one is supporting the martial god of the Southwest and one is supporting the martial god of the Southeast. And it's extremely obvious. They're not good at hiding this from one another. Fu Yao's rolling his eyes constantly, and Nanfeng just gets extremely aggressive with his outbursts. So Xie Lian's kind of babysitting at this point.
Yeah. He gets frequent headaches from trying to deal with their shenanigans, and it is pretty funny.
I do actually really love them. So in chapter 2, they are on Mount Yujun, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. They're talking to different people within the area. So first they meet this person working at the tea shop that they meet at, and he's kind of telling them what's been going on. And they also end up stumbling upon a Xuanzhen temple, which is the martial god that Fu Yao is under. Mm-hmm. And so they end up going there and seeing a local woman basically praying, hoping that, you know, all of this madness stops. However, her clothes are ripped. And so this is kind of one of those moments you see Xie Lian just being extremely compassionate. He wants to help her. You see Fu Yao and Nanfeng are immediately like, oh, she's ugly.
But they want to help her too. They're like, I am so embarrassed that this is happening and I can't deal with this situation. And so Xie Lian is kind of like, I guess I'm going to have to be the one to take one for the team and go down there. And so he does go down there and scares the shit out of this girl. And she's like, what is happening? What are you doing down here? When he tries to give her a cloak, first he tries to give it to her without revealing himself. And then after that doesn't work, he has to go down and be like, hey, your clothes are ripped. Take this.
She did get quite scared, but eventually, like, she kind of comes around and they do end up meeting up again. So it's probably for the best that Xie Lian helped her. But as they're there, they're kind of trying to come up with this strategy of what do we do to capture this ghost groom, basically, that's stealing all of these wives. And, you know, Fu Yao and Nanfeng, not great at coming up with solutions. They're like, obviously, we kill them.
They get a great idea from the townspeople because there is a group of people led by a young man who is from this town. And they are all trying to capture this ghost groom as well because there is a reward out. So if they are the ones to capture it, they'll get this reward. So they're trying to pass off a fake bride as like puppet style, and the head falls off. So they're not doing a great job.
That's not convincing.
So our heavenly officials are like, okay, we need to do that, but better. Because this ghost, he's smarter than that. He's not going to fall for that dummy. We can't use one of the women because that would just be wrong of us to leave a woman without any protection or anything.
It'd be like sending her to her death.
Yeah. So they decide Xie Lian is going to be the one to dress up as a bride, which I love so much because as soon as Xiaoying, who was the girl from the previous temple visit, sees that they are dressing him up as a bride, he does not fit into this outfit. It is made for someone who is smaller than him. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, I can help. I know how to sew. And so she fixes his outfit for him. She helps with his hair and makeup. And he is apparently too beautiful because both of the other guys, the junior officials with him, are like completely embarrassed, don't want to have to talk to him at all. They're like, they can't even look at him anymore. Yeah. And it is just so great. So they're like, all right, get in the sedan. So then he gets in the sedan. They go to the government official, who's the one who's giving out the reward. His daughter is one of the brides who has gone missing, which is why he's giving out this reward. And so when they tell what their plan is, he gets some of his guard to go with them. Mm-hmm. So now they're all traveling up this mountain, and Xie Lian cannot see anything. He's inside of the sedan, and everyone else around him is just walking up. And he starts to hear some creepy laughing ghost noises.
Not even just creepy laughing ghost noises, but creepy laughing child ghost noises.
Which makes it even worse.
Yeah.
And he's the only one who can hear it, which, again, makes it even worse.
Yeah. And what makes it the worst of all is that what he's hearing are lyrics to some song that is telling him, like, oh, put a smile on your face, stop crying, Miss Bride.
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah. And they also run into a pack of wolves, which is really just a diversion to get all of the guard that is with this bride away so that the bride can be stolen.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they realize that all of these people carrying the sedan are there, everyone's fighting tirelessly and wolves continue to show up. There are also some monsters that show up called Binu, and the heavenly officials are like, ugh, they're just annoying.
The description of the Binu is just awful. They're kind of just like leeches.
Yeah, they spit like sticky stuff and it's just gross.
Yeah.
Is like the best word to describe it.
Yeah.
But Shaleon decides the reason that all of these wolves and Binu and everything else are attacking you is because you're trying to protect me. If you leave me, then they'll stop attacking.
This is like a recurring theme too, is that Fu Yao is like always ready to leave. As soon as Shaleon is like, okay, you guys need to run away, he's like, got it, I am out of here.
You know what? And you could, to his credit, say that he's just really good at following orders.
You could.
I don't think that that's what it is, but you could say that. But as soon as they all leave and they're like, you know, finishing off fighting these Binu and wolves, Shaleon was right. He does have someone show up and extend a hand to him.
Yeah.
And again, he can't see.
No. And he doesn't want to spoil the illusion, so he can't look up to even check who he's walking with.
Yeah, so he just takes the stranger's hand. He can see a few different details like red clothing, some silver chains hanging from these black boots. And then he also sees these vambraces, which are like kind of the wrist armor.
Yeah.
And they have different like intricate designs on them. And that's it. So he's just blindly following this man who is extremely gentle. For all things considered. He takes his hand very gently. He's leading him through. It even starts to rain and he brings out an umbrella and shields him.
So kind.
Very kind. And this is all great and fine, except for the fact that Shaleon sees him break a seal effortlessly. He just steps on this skull and it breaks.
And all of a sudden, he can see a temple.
Yeah. So he's obviously got some sort of a power associated with him. And he's unsure if this is the groom. But in chapter 4, this man does lead him to this temple and then leaves.
Yeah.
Disappears into just silver butterflies everywhere.
If only.
What a dream. Beautiful man, gentle, leads you to this beautiful temple. It's just kidding. It's a rundown temple in the creepy woods.
And he goes into this temple, and what does he find? 17 dead brides in various stages of decay. All standing around.
All standing around and also with the creepiest smiles on their faces.
Yeah.
Every single one has their lips curled up in the exact same way.
Yeah.
And it is a horrifying image to put in your head.
And he's like, well, now what do I do?
I will say, right at this moment was when I go, oh shit, this is actually kind of horrifying. And I didn't think this was going to be that scary.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was so excited. It made me really want to see what these things look like.
That's okay. I will say there's the manhwa, so eventually we'll probably get there too.
We do have the first volume of the manhwa as well.
Because we have problems.
So his decision is taken out of his hands because he hears the person who has brought all of these brides coming back. And it's this weird kind of like thump, 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 thump. It sounds almost like someone walking, but almost like someone dragging something. And he doesn't know what to do. So he's like, all right, if I just hide amongst the brides, then they probably won't notice me right away. Mm-hmm. And it does work. The person who has brought all of these brides here comes over and he's like, this is my chance. I have to attack. And so he attacks this being and they release like this black smoke that comes out and it looks like they escape out into the woods. Mm-hmm. Now, at this point, the village people have found this temple And his 2 junior marshals have also found this temple. And so there's just like chaos abound.
Yeah, he's sending people in every direction. He goes, I don't think they've escaped yet. And so everyone's kind of looking every which way. And as they go further into the forest, they realize very quickly that, one, the rain that Xie passed through with his mystery man is not rain at all, but blood falling from the trees because it is a corpse forest. They realize very quickly that the ghost couldn't have gotten that far.
Yeah. Xie first tells them, like, okay, is there someone among your group who you don't recognize? Because if so, that's the person who we're looking for. And once they realize that everyone is a part of their group or is Xiaoying, who wasn't a part of their group but followed them up, and that causes its own kind of pandemonium, then they're like, okay, let's just take all the brides down. We gotta go. Yeah,
we gotta go. This will get us the money, and that's really what we're here for anyways.
Unfortunately, when they take the veils off the brides, this kind of brings them back to life, and they start attacking everyone.
Very slowly and awkwardly, and it's not long before Xie also realizes that you can put the veils back on them.
And they can't take them off.
And they can't take them off, and they can't see, so he's able to start directing them to attack each other.
Yeah.
It does take a minute for everyone else to figure this out as well, because you have Nanfeng running into the corpse forest to try to catch the ones who escaped. And again, mass chaos.
Yeah.
So you have Xie trying to piece this puzzle together and trying to figure out who this ghost groom is. How did he get so far away? And then you realize as he's talking to the people from this village, like Xiaoying and, other people, he's also saying, why was this temple not seen before? And why is it that we're in the north, which is supposed to be the territory of a specific god named Mingguang? And he goes, why is this the only temple for him here, even though this is his territory? And you find out that as people were erecting these temples of Mingguang, every time they started construction or went to build this, it burned to the ground.
Yeah. So then Xie has his Scooby-Doo moment where he unveils what's happening, and we find out that it's a scorned woman who has caused all of this. She is kind of crazy. And she is obsessed with Mingguan, who is also General Pei. And General Pei apparently was her lover. But there's kind of mixed messaging. He's like, no, she's crazy. And she's like, no. He's my one true love, and I'm doing all of this so that he'll come back. And so that is why she has brought these brides here, is because she is hoping that all of this will make him return to her.
She goes, look at these beautiful brides. You love beautiful women. He's not very faithful. That's just a side note.
Yeah.
So she goes, you like women? Here, I'll give you women. Come to see me. And he doesn't show up.
Now, adding salt to the wound, he doesn't show up. He sends his grandson, General Pei Jr. And General Pei Jr. is like, he had more important things to do. AKA, you're not important. So she decides, I'm going to curse you and everyone here. So General Pei Jr. is like, no, please hold. Goes, has a talk with General Pei, comes back and is like, you can't do that. It's all very tragic.
And they do end up capturing Xuanji, this scorned woman, and everything seemingly goes back to normal. Unfortunately, they're not able to offer much solace to the people who have already lost their children.
Yeah, they do take back all of the missing brides, and so they can have their burials as they would have before when they hadn't gone missing. Xiaoying also had died during all of this battle, so Xie brings her down the mountain as well, and we figure out where that maniacal child laughter came from. It's from a young boy who Xiaoying was feeding because he was all on his own. And the reason he was all on his own is because he had the human face disease, which is where you get a bunch of human face looking things all over your own human face.
Yeah, it looks like mini petrified faces on your own face, like on your forehead, your cheeks. They do have a picture of it as well in this, and it is genuinely terrifying.
It really is.
And unfortunately, Xie tries his best to stay as neutral as possible when he sees this so that he doesn't scare the boy off, but he unfortunately shoots up after seeing it and realizes that his reaction was not what the child wanted, and he runs deep into the forest.
So he has to go to his good old friend Ling Wen and say, I need someone to go and find this boy because he is clearly not human. The disease is no longer active because no one else in the town has gotten it. Mm-hmm. So they're saying this is a highly contagious disease. If he were to have it actively, then the entire town would have it. And since he doesn't have it actively and he's still alive, there's no way that he can be human.
Yeah. So now that we kind of have that resolution for the problems, chapter 5 kind of focuses on the fact that Xie is kind of doing almost the paperwork after the fact. So you find out that he gets almost enough merits just from that alone to pay off most all of his debts. And he does end up getting more merits to pay off his debts entirely. So he's at least kind of getting a breather there.
Yeah.
But he is kind of reporting back to what he experienced in that village and what happened on Mount Yujun. And he is, doing that follow-up, but also asks, do you know of any, ghosts or spirits that produce silver butterflies? Because he's trying to figure out who that gentle man was who escorted him, realizing that he has quite a bit of power. And like his magic, he makes everyone go silent in the array again.
Yeah.
No one is willing to answer him except for Lingman, who says, do you know about the 4 calamities? Which is the kings of hell, basically, of the ghost realm. Not a great way to start that out. But there are the 4 ghost kings. So you have ship sinking Blackwater, white no face, the green ghost Qirong, and crimson rain sought flower.
Yeah.
And so they talk about the powers that each of them have. Xie is familiar with one of them already because White No-Face actually felled his kingdom of Xianla. Mm-hmm. So he has some feelings there. But they say that those silver butterflies are actually indicative of the crimson rain sought flower. So they say he's known as Wacheng, and they start telling these stories about how dangerous he is because he has felled several heavenly officials. He ended up challenging 35 of them. 33 of them took him up on his challenge, and 33 of them failed.
And they decided not to follow through with their part of the bargain. So if he were to lose, then he would have to give his ashes to them, which is essentially giving control of himself to them, because whoever has the ashes of the ghost can control what they do or destroy the ashes and destroy the ghost. So that's what he was going to give if he lost. And when they lost, they were supposed to go back to being mortal, and they were like, no, I'm not going to do that. In like 10 years, everyone's going to forget that this happened. And it does, except that our ghost does not forget what happens, and he's vengeful, and he decides to go destroy all of their temples and bring them down on his own.
Yeah, they slowly just basically disappear from existence, slowly and painfully. Because, again, you don't exist as a heavenly official if nobody knows what you've done or who you are. Mm-hmm. So he just erases their existence. It's like genuinely messed up and kind of the best thing ever.
I mean, if they would have just gone back to being mortal, he wouldn't have had to do it. They didn't follow through with their end of the bargain.
Yeah, that's their fault.
Yeah.
So after hearing all of this, you do know that Xie is thinking to himself, that is not the same person that I came in contact with. Like, he was extremely gentle. He didn't attack me. And I believe the stories they're telling me, but it's hard to believe.
Yeah.
Because that was not my experience. So in chapter 6, you see that Shelion is kind of a bit more free to do what he wants to.
He still has no money.
Still has no money, has no prospects. No, I'm just kidding. He still has no one worshiping him. And, any normal person is like, oh, the tales will come. But he goes, I think I'm going to build my own shrine.
And worship myself.
What a laughingstock.
I loved this part so much where he's like, you know what? I have a great idea. I'm going to go down to the mortal realm. I'm going to build my own temple. And I'm going to worship myself to get my own merits. And you know what? We love a working man.
We love a working man who does take on, like, the most ransacked shack ever in this Poochie village.
Yeah.
It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. And it literally is a place that, like, homeless people would go to sleep.
Yeah.
So they're like, you can have it too. Like, it's kind of just open to everybody. And he goes, I'll get, like, a broom. I'll start cleaning it up. So he does.
And then he realizes that he doesn't have a shrine to be worshipped. And he doesn't have a statue to be worshipped. So he's like, all right, gotta go out, do my thing. I'm a scrapper. I'm gonna go out and scrap some stuff from my temple.
I love the idea of him just being like a junk hoarder.
I know, I love it. So he goes out, he gets all of his scraps, he's got them, and then he's like, ugh, this is so heavy. I need some help carrying this back. And he runs across an ox cart, and he asks the guy, can I ride in your ox cart? The guy's like, sure, go ahead. He gets in, there's another man in there already.
And they make fast friends.
They do. They're like besties already.
He is just this beautiful man dressed in red. And you can see Shelion is already like, I met another man in red. And then he just kind of keeps putting it in the back of his mind.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is a different person.
So he starts talking to this guy. He finds out the guy's name, which is Shanlang. Mm-hmm. And Shanlang knows everything. Is just like a wealth of knowledge. And Shelion's like, this is great. I love this man.
Yeah, he's telling him about all of the different gods. And Shelion's loving this because he knows the gods personally, most of them. So he's hearing things and giggling to himself like, oh, how true you are. You have no idea how right. But as they're talking, unfortunately, they realize very quickly that something's come across their path. And not just one something. It's a lot of somethings.
A lot of headless somethings.
And he realizes very quickly that his bad luck has caught up to him because he went out traveling on the night of Zhongyuan, which is the night where the ghosts come to the mortal realm. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to, like, lock up your doors and windows. You're not supposed to leave.
What was this guy driving the ox cart doing? He had to know.
Maybe he has bad luck, too.
Probably.
And poor Shanlang, he's just there because he said he ran away from home.
Yeah.
So they're all just kind of in this together.
Shelion is like, I got this. He has this great magical companion with him whose name is Roye. And Roye is kind of like a wrap. A white cloth that wraps around his arm. Mm-hmm. And so he sends it up and uses it to cover the cart and the ox cart driver and the ox itself and Shanlan and himself. And so the ghost can no longer see them. They can sense that there's something blocking their path, but they don't know what it is. So they're trying to, like, coax this ox forward, and it doesn't go as smoothly as one would hope.
Probably because Shelion's involved.
Yeah, so they do get discovered. So then they have to just run away from these ghosts. The ghosts are confronting them and being like, why did you stomp out all of our ghost fires? And Shelion's like, we didn't. We're just here. I just wanted my scraps.
Please, I just want my scraps.
And you can see Shanlan too is like, once he sees Roye do his thing, he's like, oh, you're an interesting person. Mm-hmm. I kind of like you.
Yeah, I do love. So at this point, as they're trying to escape, they pull out fortune sticks.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to tell them when they get to this forked road, how do we get out of here? And Shelion pulls these sticks multiple times.
Bad fortune.
Bad fortune in both paths.
Yeah.
And Shanlong pulls them, and immediately both paths are great fortune.
Yeah.
And so Shanlong directs them to a certain path, and they do end up escaping from the ghosts and making it to the shrine that Shaelian's building for himself.
Yeah.
And as they awaken the ox driver, who was knocked out by Shaelian because he was freaking out, you know, Shaelian sends him off. Don't tell anybody what happened. Just leave it alone.
Yeah.
And he realizes Shanlong has nowhere to go, so he invites him to stay at the temple.
Come stay at my temple. And he does.
He does.
Now, they also have one of the great tropes of sharing a bed. There's only one bed.
To be fair, if Shaelian knew he would have guests when he was in the town, he would have gotten 2.
Yeah, but he didn't think he was going to have a guest. So now they have to share their bedroll.
And they have a cute little, like, slumber party. He's like, let me read your palm. He has no idea how to read palms.
I love it. I love that he was like, let me read your palm, because he wanted to see if he had palm prints and fingerprints. And he did.
Yeah.
So he's already like, okay, I can tell that you're not human. There's something here.
But all of the telltale signs are pointing to human.
Yeah. And the next morning, once they get up, Shanlan has, like, disheveled hair. And Shaelian's like, let me do your hair. I can do it. And so he starts playing with his hair, and he's trying to figure out if he can tell that he's not a human from this hair. Because if you're using, like, a body double, essentially, then your hair won't be perfect because you have to, like, pick every strand.
Yeah, it's basically like putting up this magical front.
Yeah.
And it takes so much immense power to keep something like that up that there will always be a flaw somewhere.
So he's looking for this flaw. He can't find it because it's not there, because Sanlan is perfect.
And Shanlong's like, are you going to eventually do my hair, or are we just playing around?
And Shaelian's like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed.
So as they finish up with all of that, they end up getting swarmed with a bunch of villagers. And
the ox cart driver did not keep his word.
Not conspicuous. He went out and proclaimed that there is a god among them. And this does go to Shaelian's benefit, because they all burn incense, give offerings. But they come back the next day, and they have someone who's dying, and they want Shaelian to perform a miracle.
Yeah.
That's not what Shaelian does.
No.
He's like, oh, you need to leave. Someone's bewitched. And so they bring him into the temple and send everyone else away.
Yeah.
Now, here in chapter 7, they're trying to figure out, like, what happened to this man. And they finally get him to gain consciousness. So he starts telling this story about how he was in this desert of Banyue and he got attacked. And there's something really suspicious about how he wakes up, because he's been unconscious and supposedly in this desert for an extended period of time on the brink of death. And he doesn't ask for food or water. And he's just alert and conscious now. So they start testing him, and they give him water. And as he's taking in this water, it sounds like an empty water bottle filling. Like, that's not what it sounds like when a human consumes water. And very quickly, he starts to attack Shaelian and Sanlong. And as he goes to retreat, Sanlong ends up puncturing him with a chopstick.
He, like, throws it across the room. He's like, pew!
And he apologizes that he got it dirty.
Yeah, he's like, sorry, I got your chopstick dirty.
So, you know, priorities. But they do realize very quickly that he's something known as a skin bag. So he's kind of just this illusion put on by somebody that uses real human skin, because it takes less effort to, you know, portray whatever they're wanting to and get close to, you know, probably harm somebody. But in doing so, they realize that someone's trying to lead him to Banyue, and he uses his communication array to get in touch with Lingwen, who, you know, is usually pretty helpful. And so he's asking, what do you know about Banyue? And again,
silence, which it's even worse this time, because in the heavenly realm, in the communication channel right now, another god is giving away a ridiculous amount of merits. And Shaelian is like, must be nice to have that many merits to give away.
Must be cool. And yeah, no one's focusing. He asks the question about Banyue. It goes silent. And then when Wester goes, 10,000 more merits, and just waving it so that people can come and claim it. So Lingwen, again, being the nice god that she is, ends up giving him a little bit of information about how it's extremely complicated. And there's a long history of Banyue being at war with another city. They eventually fell. It's kind of all just ruins now.
Yeah.
So obviously Xielian decides they're going to have to travel out to go. And who were his two lucky volunteers? But Fu Yao and Nanfeng. And they immediately see Sanlong and go, nope, suspicious.
They instantly start trying to get Sanlong to reveal who he is. They offer him some water that is supposed to reveal your true self. And he refuses at first. He's like, no. I will just share with Xielian. You have that water. And they're like, why won't you drink our water? That's suspicious. And he's like, why won't you drink your water? That's suspicious.
And Xielian's like, this is fun.
So Shanlan asks Xielian, can I drink this water? And Xielian's like, well, it's not poisoned, but... And Sanlong is like, okay, I'll drink it. And he drinks it and nothing happens.
He just says it tastes worse than Xielian's water.
And then throws the water bottle and destroys it. Then they give him a sword, and this sword is supposed to also have magical powers and reveal to them who he actually is.
Yeah, if anyone is supposed to be associated with like the ghost realm or anything else, if they unsheath this sword, then the blade is supposed to turn red.
Yeah. And what happens instead is he opens this and he's like, are you guys playing a joke on me? This sword's broken. And it is. It's broken into like a bajillion pieces.
Smithereens.
And they are so upset about this because this is a precious sword.
Yeah, this is Nanfeng's martial god's sword.
And you also find out at this point that Xielian, this was his sword first. And during one of his falls from grace, when he had to pawn all of his possessions, he pawned this and immediately forgot about it because he didn't want to remember the things that he had to pawn.
Whoops.
So now he's like, oh no, I'm faced with my past traumas.
So, you know, this great crew of people who definitely all likes each other gets to venture out into a sandstorm in a desert because they are trying to get to Banyue and figure out what the heck is going on. They get caught up in a wind tornado, and they end up having to seek shelter under this giant rock, which actually serves as a memorial for a fallen general. And it talks several times about how he continued to get demoted, and also takes it really to heart when his group is like, wow, how could you get demoted that many times?
So they run into a group of merchants too, and they're talking to this group of merchants, and one of the young merchants that's with him is like, man, how embarrassing. And he's like, no, it's fine. It happens more than you would think.
But as they're in this giant rock enclosure, they do end up coming across a scorpion snake. New fear unlocked, by the way. Talk about just horrifying. And these creatures are known for being extremely venomous, both from their tail and their bite.
Yes.
Because why not just add to the terror? You can't just be one. So they go, this is like a cursed creation from one of the gods of Banyue, or one of the kingdom of Banyue's leaders. And so these snakes are all supposed to be controlled by the preceptor, who they know is like the person they're trying to basically find in Banyue. And unfortunately, one of the merchants does get bitten by the scorpion snake. And Xielian also gets bitten, but Sanlong uses Roye to create a tourniquet of sorts for his hand and then sucks out the venom.
Yeah. He's pissed about this still. Like, he almost refuses to talk to Xielian after this. unless directly asked a question, he does not communicate. Whereas before, he was like very open and talking to Shaylin all the time. And Shaylin's like, I don't know how to bring this up because how can I just be like, hey, you're not talking to me? What's wrong?
Yeah, so they have some limited interaction at this point, but they do decide that it's important for them to continue on. There is this tale about how a shanue fern can actually work as an antidote and, basically suck out the venom. So they're like, we'll take a small group, we'll go and we'll find the shanue fern in Banyue and bring it back to you all. And he goes, someone has to stay behind with the group. So, of course, Fu Yao volunteers.
And they do an exchange because they want to take the merchant's guide. And the merchants are kind of like, no, you can't have our guide. So Fu Yao is kind of staying back as an exchange so that it's like, okay, you have one of our guys. We have one of your guys. Now, we'll have to meet up again.
Yeah.
But they kind of picked the wrong one because Fu Yao, not really caring about trying to keep the rest of the people in this group.
Yeah, everyone else is kind of freaking out, and he's just like, ugh, it takes too much energy to try to convince people to stay calm.
Yeah. And just people are going to do what they're going to do, and who am I to control them?
Yeah. However, they do end up taking Ajiao, who is the guide who is helping the merchants, and they get to Banyue safely. However, the woman in white and the woman in black that they did see before they left this shop to venture into the desert are actually there and talking about wanting to kill people.
Yeah.
Who have snuck in, supposedly. So they all take cover and hide. Nanfeng creates a distraction. And now they're searching for this fern in the palace garden, which is the only place that seems to be non-desert.
Yeah, Shaylin is also kind of suspicious of Ajiao at this point because of his lack of interaction with these snake scorpions or scorpion snakes.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, something is amiss here. I'm not quite sure about you. Something's going on.
Yeah.
And so they find the fern, and Sanlong crushes one up in his hand without really doing anything, just crushes it and gives it to Shaylin, and Shaylin's hand is fixed after this.
Yeah.
He gets the poison out. Everything's great. The rest of the merchants who have followed them there, even though they weren't supposed to.
Because Fu Yao did not stop them.
Yeah, and because Ajiao said where they were headed, gave the direction that they were headed before they left. So they had no reason not to follow, so they did. They're trying to find this fern too. And as they're looking through this field, they find these ferns, and they look bigger and healthier and better than the one that Sanlong used on Shaylin. And so Shaylin's kind of thinking, okay, why Sanlong went over there, but he didn't pick any of those ferns. He got this little kind of piddly wilted one. It worked, but why wouldn't he go for those healthy ones? And then the ground starts screaming. Casually. And this is where you find the mud face.
Horrifying.
And that is exactly as bad as it sounds.
Mudface is a person who was punished by being buried there to work as fertilizer for the fern.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I kind of want to be out of here. Hey, maybe come closer. I have a secret to tell you.
I know one of you. I've seen one of you 50 or 60 years ago.
And none of the people in the group look 50 or 60 years old.
Yeah.
So immediate red flag.
Shaylin's like, okay, maybe that's true, but also I don't think we should get close to this guy. One of the merchants is like, you know what? I'm going to go get those ferns anyways. We need those ferns. And so he goes over there, and this mud face sticks out its tongue, a very, very extremely much longer than a normal human tongue, into this guy's ear and eats his brain.
Yeah.
And then the merchant dies. And then Mudface starts calling for a general.
Mm-hmm.
So this general comes over with his soldiers, and he is taking these people back. We don't know where he's taking them. He's capturing Shaylin and everyone around. And the Mudface is like, hey, let me out. You have to let me out of here. So the general, unfortunately for all of us, pulls him out of the mud. And this is where we see that he is just a head on a skeleton. The rest of his body is completely gone. I did kind of feel bad for him at this point because he is like, it's been so long, he doesn't know that he's not a human anymore. And so he's like desperately trying to convince everyone else and mostly himself that he is still a human. And he's like, no, I'm human. And Sanlong is kind of like, okay, but what about your tongue? That was weird. And this Mudface is like, no, it's just a little abnormally large. That's normal. People have long tongues. That is something that is totally fine.
Mine's just like also maybe kind of long.
It's just because I've been trying to survive on eating bugs that it's stretched out.
Gross. It's so gross.
Yeah. So they do end up killing this Mudface, which is probably really for the best at this point.
For the best for him.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the entire group finds out that they're getting escorted to a place called the Sinner's Pit. Not great.
Yeah.
It's basically just this giant tower where they end up sending people down into this abyss with monsters waiting down below for them. Monsters or beings or whatever else it is down there. No one can see. That's not horrifying.
So Shaylin is kind of thinking, all right, what do I do? They're on their way up to the top of this tower. They see a girl in black hanging on the outside of it. And he's trying to come up with a plan. They make it to the top of this tower. And the general is like, all right, 2 of you are going to have to go down. Shaylin is like volunteering himself. He's like, I'm going to go first. Mm-hmm. I'll figure out what's down there. I can't die. And this is his inner monologue speaking.
Yeah.
And he's like, and if whoever they throw after me, I can use Roye to catch them. So it's all fine. I'll go first. And he tells everyone this. And Ajao, before he can volunteer to go first, runs at this general, whose name we find out is Chemo, and tries to take him out and just gets pushed into this pit first. And then you hear horrific screaming and being ripped apart.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as Shaylin volunteers himself to go next, his plan goes awry again because Shanlong goes, nope, it's me.
Yeah. And General Chemo is like, what is happening? This has never happened before. Why are people volunteering to go into this pit? What is happening?
Yep. And there is something amiss. As Shanlong gets down there, you realize that there's no noise. There's no ripping apart or anything else. And Shaelion decides that he's going to take Roye and he's going down with Kamo. They're both going into the pit. They're all, I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll all go into the pit at this point. Nothing went to plan anyways.
Yeah, Chemo has to Chemo tries to get him so that he won't go into the pit because he's like, Sanlong, I'm coming for you. Which I love the energy.
Yeah.
And so he takes Chemo down there. It's pitch black. And Sanlong catches Shaelion and is holding him and also refuses to let him down. Not because he's weak, but because he's like, it's dirty.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to get dirty.
And I love that energy.
I know.
We all need a Sanlong.
Shaelion is like, no, please put me down somewhere. And so Sanlong takes him to a spot and puts him down. And he can kind of sense that something is different about Sanlong right now. Like, he is slightly taller. His voice is deeper. And he's trying to figure out, like, what's different, but he can't because it's pitch black.
Yeah.
And he's also trying to figure out why there's no sound when there was before. And and General Chemo is trying to fight Sanlong. And Sanlong is like not even trying, but fighting anyways. Like, he was fighting while he was holding Shaelion, and then he puts him down and he continues fighting. And General Chemo is like, you guys killed all my soldiers.
And they did.
And Sanlong did. He killed all the soldiers.
It just kind of all becomes a mess at this point.
Yeah.
The girl who was in black hanging from the top of the tower, lifeless, comes down to the bottom of the pit. You find out that she's the preceptor that everyone's been talking about. Mm-hmm. And that the preceptor of Banyue is actually named Banyue. So it was kind of like a misunderstanding of sorts.
Shaelian's like, oh, I thought it was because it was the place Banyue, but it's because you're the person Banyue. And he knows Banyue. Because this is where we find out that Shaelian was this general, General Hua, who is the general who kept getting demoted.
He's like, oh yeah, I gave a fake name. That's awkward.
Ooh, that was me. Ugh, how embarrassing.
But then they think about it and they go, okay, so Banyue is known as a traitor. She, abandoned the Banyue kingdom because people weren't good to her there. And she was a citizen of Yongan and Banyue, which were the two different places that were at war with one another. And she ends up letting the Yongan soldiers in.
Yeah.
And opening the gates for them.
She can also control the scorpion snakes.
But we find out not entirely anymore.
No, because someone else has taken over control of the scorpion snakes. Who is it? Our suspect, Ajao.
And Ajao is not Ajao, but Pei Jr.
Yeah.
And Pei Jr., it was alluded to that to become this martial god, there are just things you have to do that aren't great.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've wiped out an entire town before. The town was Banyue.
Yeah.
But he performed so many crimes that basically he wanted to cover everything up to make sure that it wouldn't keep him from ascending. And that is his crime.
Yeah.
The woman in white was the Wind Master. Yeah. And she was there to help defeat all of the different soldiers of Banyue.
I know I've already said it, but this is the most Scooby-Doo story ever. I love it because at the end it's just like take off the mask and reveal, aha, who you really are. And I mean, just like everything is revealed at this point. General Pei Jr. is taken into custody, and the Wind Master is the one who's going to report all of these crimes, which is good for Shaelian. She tells him, like, okay, stay out of it now. Your time is done. And
you don't want to make an enemy of people in the heavenly realm because you've already kind of done that.
Yeah, General Pei, he will take it out on you, absolutely. And me, the Wind Master, he cannot touch. So I'm going to take one for the team, and I'm going to report this. And you can be on your merry little way. And they are.
Yeah. They do all return back to the shrine in Puchi village. And, Shaelian's pretty bent on trying to fix it up still.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, maybe I have some people who are going to follow me now. And
how exciting.
Of course, Nanfeng and Fu Yao do have responsibilities they have to return to.
One of them has already left. Fu Yao, already bounced. But Nanfeng, he stays at first until Shaelian is like, all right, I'm going to cook some food. You want some? And then all of a sudden there's an emergency. And it's unclear whether there really was an emergency or if he really did not want to eat Shaelian's food.
But, considering all of the context clues from Nanfeng's behavior before, he probably just wants to go.
But I don't know. It kind of seemed like maybe it really was an emergency because he does come back and he says, I'll be back.
I'm coming back. I have to leave now, but I'll be back. So it's left alone with just Shaelian and Sanlong at this point. And Shaelian at the end of chapter 10 goes, oh, so what do you want to eat, Wacheng? And he's immediately acknowledging, I know that you are one of the four calamities.
Yeah.
Sanlong's only response is, I prefer the name Sanlong.
Oh my gosh. I love too that this is when he also reveals that he knows that Shaelian is the prince of Xianle.
Mm-hmm. So in chapter 11, we have this nice resolution. They come together and they basically talk until it's time to go to sleep. And Huacheng leaves him saying, the next time I see you, I'm going to show you who I really am.
Yeah, Shaelian is like, can you show me your real face? And then kind of backtracks a little bit because he can see that Sanlong doesn't really want to. But then Sanlong does say, yes, I'll show you who I am next time. And I'm excited to see who he is.
I'm already going to love him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, Sanlong's personality could ruin me. He is sarcastic and beautiful. He has the dark hair.
He does have a little self-conscious moment where he's asking Shaelian, like, all right, what if I showed you my true self and I'm ugly? Then, like, what would you do? And Shaelian is like, it doesn't matter who you are or what you look like. We get along, you're my friend, and that's it.
I love it. I absolutely adore it. Now, I do have several theories for volume 2. So before we go ahead and read that, I do want to just throw out a couple of ideas. Because this does have the mystery element to it too.
It does.
So kind of keeps you guessing a little bit. I do think, one, there's definitely like some alternative power that is definitely going to be like the main overarching villain throughout the story. And I know that at certain points they talk about how Xuanji, the crazy ghost bride, ends up like offering all of those bodies from the forest to one of the 4 calamities. But he's not known as like a supreme calamity. So I think, one, he's trying to become a supreme calamity. The Qirong. He's going to be something later on.
Yeah.
I also think the white no-face that Shaelian came across.
One of them was destroyed, though. Was it White No-Face? Or was it... Yeah.
White no-face was destroyed.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was destroyed. There's a lot of imagery. Like, we have the deluxe edition of the manhwa. And there's a lot of imagery of white masks.
Yeah.
And I really think that it is the white no-face.
Maybe.
Who's to say? But last, I do think that, especially in the last incident, when Shaelian realizes that, like, either he buried certain memories or he just didn't remember them because they were hundreds of years ago, and he's been through a lot since then, that obviously he and Sanlong or Wachang, however you want to refer to him, knew each other previously, and that he's going to be piecing together how they met one another, because this is definitely a fated love situation.
I think that if he doesn't remember and they have met before, there's an outside force that is making him forget, because how could you forget?
Ooh.
You know, like, it makes sense that he would forget some of these more minor things or things that he doesn't want to remember, like the fact that he was a general who got demoted, or that he had to pawn off this beloved sword. Those are things that you're like, oh, I could kind of forget about that because I really didn't want it to happen anyway.
And I don't want to remember it.
Yeah. But Sanlong is like, how could you forget the love of your life, which he is going to be.
Yeah, and we do know at this point that the heavenly officials are not infallible. Like, we've now seen the one who's a womanizer.
Yeah.
And he didn't necessarily commit the crimes, but he definitely didn't help to quell any of the problems that were going on.
Yeah. And the grandson, who is this, like, much bigger problem at the end and committed all these crimes against all of these mortals. So I think someone's interfering with them.
Ugh, it's so good.
It's such a good story. It is so funny. The characters are hysterical.
So much of this story, like, is internal monologue as well, which just makes you fall in love with Shaelian, because he's just a grin and bear it type of person.
Yeah.
So, like, you see all of these people, like, talking sarcastically about him and to him, and he just leaves a little smile on his face.
I love that he's just, like, so awkward.
Yeah.
He really, really is. And Sanlong, like, you can already tell Sanlong is like, this is my person.
Yeah.
After just meeting him.
It's a beautiful story. To say that I have not already considered getting a tattoo for this story would be a lie. I've talked about several different ideas already, and I'm one volume in.
I mean, you really have no choice.
I mean, I have buried myself with this one after we've both committed to 8 volumes of a deluxe edition release.
Yeah. But they're so beautiful.
And thank goodness we love it.
Yeah.
And again, beautiful covers have never, ever proved us wrong.
Yeah.
So.
Judge books, not people, by their covers.
Yeah. If there's anything to take away. Oh, and also read Heaven Official's Blessing with us. I'm so excited to see where this goes. I think it's going to be such an incredible buddy read for this year. So I really do hope that if you're listening, that you're following along with us, or if you've listened to it, you know, hopefully you're grinning at all of our theories being right and or wrong throughout the whole thing. But thank you so much for joining us today, and we're looking forward to talking to you all on the next one.
Goodbye.
Bye.